Hey everybody, Jones here and welcome back. Today I want to talk about a term, I guess. Something that I came across earlier this week. And it's a funny term because well, the opposite of it is something that I've always said that I've never had. But now I'm starting to think that perhaps I always have had it. Maybe. So, the term that I came across was gender euphoria. Now, some of you may be familiar with the term gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is essentially, feeling just unhappy, upset, disgusted, reviled by, your own gender, your assigned gender, what you see when you look at yourself in the mirror. And for years I've never said that for years I've always believed that I never had it. So I am a biological male, currently taking hormones, but, I was assigned male at birth nonetheless. And throughout my life, every time I would look at my reflection and see my male self looking back at me, I never had that. I never had any sense of just, discontent, any sense of just hatred or disgust or anything for my male body or my male genitalia or anything like that. Like, I never felt wrong in the body that I had. So, throughout my whole, not necessarily my whole life, but at least like my cross-dressing life, and nowadays my transgender life, I never, or I've always said that I don't suffer from gender dysmorphia, or dysphoria. I've always said that, it's not something that I had. I didn't feel wrong with what I was. I mean, I was never happy. I was never happy about, being a guy, about seeing my male reflection. But, I wasn't unhappy either. I was just kind of more blah about it. But, for all these years, I always said that I didn't have gender dysphoria. Didn't feel wrong with myself. But I'm starting to think a little differently about that. I'm starting to think that perhaps I have had it all along, I just didn't realize it. The term gender euphoria is the opposite of this. It's not disgust or revulsion, it's instead elation, joy, happiness, contentment. It's just, feeling overwhelmingly good about your gender, about the way that you present, the way that you look. And that's something that I have actually always felt. Even during my really early years as a kid dressing in my mom's things, I just kind of see myself, wearing her things in the mirror. It might have been a little goofy, but it was something that just, brought a smile on my face. And, through the early years of my cross-dressing, I didn't look all that good, but I was still always kind of excited to see myself, kind of done up in the mirror. It just, always brought a smile on my face. And then the past 2.5 years of my current look, of this look, and so when I found this look, wearing a wig that matched my hair color, better makeup, better clothes, better hip pads, or breast forms, all that stuff, and looking at myself in the mirror for the very first time, I had to stop. Like, I was just so blown away by how I looked that I stopped and stared at myself for like a good 10 minutes. Just, kind of like, is this me? Is this actually me? Because for the first time, I was looking at what very well could have been the actual female version of myself. And, God, I will never forget, like, the amount of joy that I felt the first time that I saw myself like this. And then, dressing this way for those years, just for the sake of living my life, for hanging out with my friends, for just being me. Even if I was just kind of dressed a bit more, casually, staying at home, or even like, being out in public dressed more, a bit more regularly, like, it still brought a smile on my face. Still made me so happy to see myself like this, in public or at home, just. So, Gender euphoria is a thing that I think I definitely get. I definitely understand that sensation. Um, now, now things are a little different. So, during my early years of my dressing, it was a hobby, and it was kind of cool to see myself dressed up. And then when I transitioned to a lifestyle with my current look, that's when it just brought on full-on happiness, full-on just this sense of confidence, and just I loved it. And nowadays, having been on hormones for 7 months so far, when I see myself in the mirror, it's different. I get a different sort of sensation, different sort of feeling. I mean, it's similar, but it's stronger. Doing myself up back when I cross-dressed as a hobby, yeah, that was exciting. That was fun. That was cool. And then doing it much more passively for my lifestyle, that just really elevated the happiness level, the contentment, the joy. And being on hormones now, and seeing myself in the mirror nowadays, and just kind of what I see with my body. And I don't mean all done up either. I mean just without the wig, without the makeup, just me being essentially my male self. I mean, I'm like becoming more and more feminine every day, but just my male self, essentially. Just big old, loose jeans, kind of a baggy t-shirt, no wig, no makeup, just my regular face. When I see myself in the mirror like that, like it's just so much more than I've ever felt before. Because so back then, like when I looked at myself in the mirror, I would only look at myself at like basically 2 different angles, because those are the only angles that I actually looked good in. Those are the only angles that I looked halfway feminine in. But now, just with the changes to my face, the changes to my body, like I can't. It's amazing because there are so many more angles. Like I look much more feminine, like no matter how I look, what angle I look at myself in, and I love it. So, gender euphoria, I think, is definitely a sensation that I get, that I understand, because it's something that I've been feeling for years, and so coming across that term made me sort of like stop and want to look into it more. I kind of thought about it, because I've always told everybody that, yeah, I want to transition. I don't suffer from dysphoria. I don't feel wrong with my body, but I want to transition because being a woman makes me happy. Seeing my female self makes me far happier than anything else. I just feel so much more content and confident and just happier with my life. And my friends sure as hell noticed. And, I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with wanting to do this, to make this change for myself, because it just makes me happy. Like I'm not caught up in the pink fog of the fantasy of being a woman. No, because this has been a lifestyle for years. I've been living as a woman for years. I've been living my life and doing things for years. So this is far from a fantasy. This is a reality that I just want to make permanent. Permanent because it makes me happy. And, I never saw anything wrong with that reason. Sure, I didn't suffer from dysphoria. I didn't spend years during my, adolescence kind of feeling wrong with myself, wrong with my body, and desperately wanting to change. I didn't suffer. But, I don't think that necessarily invalidates my reasoning for wanting to transition, my reasoning for wanting to be a woman. Just because of the euphoric feeling that I get. I hope this makes sense. I want to transition because, or when I decided 2.5 years ago that I wanted to transition, on the sole basis that made me happy. I didn't see anything wrong with that. because I kind of understood inside what I really wanted. And now, having been on hormones for 7 months, and the changes that I've seen to my face, to my body, it's just it's cool to see myself all kind of, done up and prettied and see myself like this. But I gotta say, it's way, way cooler, I find, to see myself not like this. To just see my normal, everyday, just woke up out of bed self. No wig, no makeup, even just wearing, my guy clothes. And seeing myself in the mirror. And just seeing how feminine my face looks at so many angles. And so, I looked into this term, gender euphoria, and it made a lot of sense to me. Just the elated feeling of feeling right with your gender, of feeling just good. Just feeling happy. That's a sensation that I definitely understand. And I found out that gender euphoria is actually a form of gender dysphoria. So just because that I was so blah about my male self, blah about the way that I looked as a man in the mirror, I didn't hate it. I wasn't jumping for joy about it, but I didn't hate it, It was just kind of, well, that's me, It wasn't anything bad, it was just the way things were. But my female self, through my cross-dressing through the years, through seeing the changes the hormones have done to my body so far, these past few months, that's where the euphoria really kicks in. Nowadays, far more than before, but, it's that excitement, that joy of kind of becoming my real self. It's apparently a form of gender dysphoria, and I didn't really know that until I looked into it more earlier this week and realized that, oh, I apparently have had gender dysphoria all along. Maybe not necessarily in an obvious, observable form, but I've had gender dysphoria my whole life. I just didn't realize it. And it's funny. I don't know. It's just funny, I guess. But yeah, so just kind of a neat little thing, I suppose. Just the fact that, even though you don't feel wrong about your body, it doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't, dysphoric about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you're happy. Like, sure, I've seen myself as a guy in the mirror many, many times, and I don't think I ever once smiled at myself. But when I catch my reflection of my female self, I just can't help but smile more. Anyways, I think I pretty much shared what I wanted to share, so I'm gonna cut it here. Yeah, it's interesting, to realize that I think I have had gender dysphoria. I just didn't realize it. But, I think that may have something to do with, why even through my, the beginning stages of my transition, like I don't have any sort of apprehension or fear or regret, you know? It's like there's no sense of like, oh my god, what am I doing to my body? No, there's nothing like that. Because I just kind of accepted my male self as what it was, as just what I am. And like through what I've seen so far, I don't miss it. Anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna cut it here. So thanks for listening, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys later.